Namaskar, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, and welcome to Dev Talks. I have with me Ambassador Kanwal Sibal. Sir, firstly, thank you so much. I know you're traveling and you've still taken our time. Honor to have you on the platform once again.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
I want to start with, of course, at your level, I should not be asking you about Pakistan, but still want to start with it. So humor me a little bit if you don't mind. Uh, Pakistan suddenly decided that it's the child of the Indus. And let me quote the information minister here: Indus water civilization, not the valley civilization. He said the water civilization. That's just a joke at the end of it. But I don't want to know why, what, this, that. Who's behind this? Sir? Is it the British or is it the Americans?
I think Pakistan feels that it is on a good wicket because they have had this mediatory role in Iran, which has given them a certain amount of recognition and respectability. It's no longer being looked upon, and I don't think we should negate that view. It's not it's not now being looked upon simply as India would want it to be looked upon as a terrorist promoting state and stuff like that. Other countries know the reality of Pakistan. It's not as if they are blind to it, but Pakistan is serving a useful purpose. And before that, it is Trump who has helped Pakistan acquire this positive profile by praising constantly his favorite field marshal and the prime minister of Pakistan. They are great guys. They are this, they are that. To what extent their business interests involving Trump's larger entourage is something that is being talked about. Uh, and then, as you know, the Americans certainly had a hand in Pakistan and Saudi Arabia signing this defense agreement, which has given Pakistan a visible regional profile, which it had a little bit earlier, but much more now, much more openly. Now, what is the calculation of Trump in doing this? I'm very puzzled because in the process he's unnecessarily alienating India. There's no need for him to do this constant eulogy of Munir and Shehbaz Sharif and keep saying, and he said that now 60 times, that he was responsible for the ceasefire. He threatened both India and Pakistan and told them, I'm going to slap you with the massive tariffs if you don't agree. And they buckled and they said, yes, sir, we'll do it, and all that kind of nonsense. And moment um, Sharif sort of pampered his ego by saying, you saved millions of people lives because of the nuclear dimension of the conflict between India and Pakistan. He made he mentioned this in the Board of Peace meeting in the Middle East, quoted Nawaz Sharif, and since then he's been saying it constantly. What I mean is that uh, Pakistan feels that the time is now ripe, that it can raise the Indus Waters issue, and it will have some uh, echo, favorable echo, because water is a very sensitive subject. Everybody is concerned about future being water wars and the impact of climate change on water shortages all over the globe. Pakistan is an agricultural economy, heavily dependent on the waters of the Indus river system. And if they exaggerate the whole thing by saying that India is now going to withdraw all water from Pakistan, so they are now, and it's interesting in this conference that they held recently in Pakistan, which was well attended. I don't know how well attended, but there were people there. They raised the issue to the nuclear level with Bilawal Bhutto talking about existential threat to Pakistan, which would require Pakistan to use all its military capacities, etc., etc. And there is a chap called Shehzad Chaudhry, former Air Force officer of Pakistan. I saw his clip yesterday, where actually he doesn't mince words at all. For two,
Yeah.
3 minutes, he talked about Pakistan using nuclear weapons against India. So, two things they want to achieve through this, or three things. One, that they are diplomatically now relatively well positioned. to agitate this issue. They are at the moment in the UN Security Council. Also, they see that there are now issues between Pakistan, between India and the United States. China is becoming a little more open in terms of supporting them uh, on these issues. Uh, Number two, that the world will be sensitive to this argument about India uh, wanting to stop the flow of water to Pakistan. Uh, and third, by agitating the nuclear issue so openly, they want to tap into those concerns in the West that both India and Pakistan are nuclear countries, and there is a nuclear flashpoint in South Asia. So they want to capitalize on that sentiment. So this is the reason that they are doing it. And I think behind that, what he just said, that we are creatures of the Indus waters or whatever else. The whole idea is to amalgamate the the amalgamate Pakistan into the Indus River system. That Pakistan and Indus rivers are are joined together historically and contemporary and in contemporary ways, where the survival of Pakistan is at stake. So they're playing on this, that by, if they want to agitate the Indus waters issue and India's high-handedness in holding the treaty in abeyance, the one answer to this, which they think might help them, is to present themselves as inheritors of the Valley civilization, as an Indus Valley country. The sense there also is that uh, it has always been ours. I mean, we may be Muslims, we may have been separated from India, etc., etc. But we've always lived here. Even when we were Hindus, we've always lived here, and therefore we have claims on this land, on these waters, and on this civilization. That is the line I think that they are taking.
But sir, my question here is, how does it help their cause?
They think diplomatically it helps them to bring India a bad name, to put India on the defensive, and put pressure on India through United States and China. I don't know to what extent China can put pressure, but you've seen that Victor Gao. I don't know why our TV channels invite him. I mean, I commented on that also. The man is an ignoramus.
Yeah.
He was openly threatening India that if you stop the waters of the Indus to Pakistan, we can stop your waters.
Let
Uh,
him look at a map, sir, first.
and in fact, and then the idiot said that the Ganga, he also threatened that we'll stop the flow of Ganga because the Ganga flows from Tibet. I mean, he doesn't have his geography right either. But anyway, the Chinese are becoming more vocal, and even if he's not officially a Chinese representative, but nevertheless, the China sends the messages it wants to people like him, and he's all over. Whenever
Yeah.
there's any discussion on RT in Russia or on Indian TV, and now in Pakistan, this Victor Gao is there.
He's like that guy from Iran, now that Professor Mardani or something like that. He's the only
Mir-
chap who's
Mirandi, Mirandi.
Miran, whatever.
Yeah,
He's that, that only guy who's there everywhere. This guy is there
yeah, yeah.
everywhere.
So to answer your question, how does it help them? I have answered it, but I think they are playing a diplomatic game and also drawing attention away from India's discourse that Pakistan is terroristan, um, and uh, and blunting India's diplomacy on this account, trying to isolate Pakistan. So they want to shift the narrative, and in this, they certainly are being helped by the uh, Americans, and one can assume that they are certainly being helped by the British, because the
No,
British had a big
I don't
hand in the
sir.
Indian Treaty.
I don't see the Americans, to be honest with you. They might have the overarching help, yes. But the more hand that I see helping Pakistan in all this stuff is the British. It's the BBC, it's the Guardian, it's the Financial Times, it's the that legacy British media, which is basically focusing on these guys. And to me, that somewhere down the line seems connected to the whole rape gang issue, which is there in. UK.
Well,
Uh,
the British media, yes, it is influential. It can create narratives. It can influence public opinion to that extent. You are right. But the solid political support that Pakistan needs and gets now is from the United States of America. I mean, Britain can say whatever. At the political level, it has very little meaning. Uh, and in any case, there's a bit of a problem now in the UK because of the manner in which the uh, Pakistani occupied Jammu and Kashmir people have been treated. So there's a lot of agitation, political agitation amongst the Mirpuri community and everything else in the UK. So there's a bit of a pressure on that account. But the main uh, damage that has been done from our point of view is from Mr. Trump and the United States of America.
of course, of
I
course.
mean, even if say JD Vance, what's the point? And he goes to Islamabad and he says, "I love Pakistan." And what's the point in saying that? And then he goes on to say that I have both Pakistan and India in my family. I have my wife who's Indian, and there is Pakistan and stuff like that. I mean, General Munir or whatever it is. I mean, where is the equivalence? So, but this, this shapes narratives. These things may be said carelessly, thoughtlessly, without giving attention to how it might be seen in India and how it will stay in the minds of analysts and this and that, and who will
Mm.
bring this up even 2, 3, 4 years from now. But they don't care about this. They go ahead and say things casually, which ought not to be said if you're sensitive to the geopolitics of the region.
The see the one of the biggest things that the Americans today. I mean, if you look at, we were talking offline about Sergio Gore and everything like that. He looks like a guy who's trying to put a band-aid on a bullet wound at best. The whole praise of Modi and this and that. Well, fair enough. Modi is a great guy. People praise him, but people praise him because he's done real stuff. It's not empty praises that Modi gets swayed by. Uh, so the whole praise of Modi seems to be like a ploy. Somebody would have asked him, "How do I impress Modi?" Oh, praise him. He gets impressed.
I can share with you from my own experience when I was in service.
Sir,
The Americans believe that Indians um are can be flattered. They are vulnerable to flattery as a diplomatic tool. So they use that consciously, but they think that this is the way to handle India. So they're very liberal when it comes to some of these things. So this is a diplomatic ploy and shouldn't be taken seriously.
mm.
That's one. The other, it is very patronizing. Now, can you imagine? Just take a situation where Modi says, "I love Trump." I mean, the Indian public opinion and our media and an intellectual will be aghast. So why is he saying this? What's the purpose? But Trump can say this and he gets away with it. It's very patronizing. It's actually looking down upon a person when you are saying something which you don't mean and where your actual actions belie what you are saying. I mean, if you love Modi, then why are you slapping these 50% tariffs, which they never removed themselves?
Yep.
It's the Supreme Court that forced them to back off. And now, Besant or somebody else said the other day that we'll use all other means to come back to the old tariff regime,
Yep.
beginning with Section 301. So they have now imposed 12.5% tariffs. But on what? On labor and stuff like that. Going back to their old ways, pre-WTO ways. So I don't. This Sergio Gore saying that, "Oh, I met Trump and his office is just a few 20 yards away." He was telling some journalist or this or that, and he asked me, "When am I going to India?" And we will come to India, this and that. But what does it mean? I mean, whatever he says, or Trump says that I would like to go to India, whatever it is, I love Modi or whatever. The point is, it has to be matched by actions. Now, if there are some positive actions on the ground, real positive actions, then this kind of messaging by the American ambassador would not look totally disconnected with reality. It will not be looked on purely as a PR game. I can understand his compulsion. He's the ambassador here. He realizes that the facts on the ground are pretty difficult. Uh,
Mm.
so how does he change the narrative? So he changes the narrative through these kind of statements without saying anything concrete, positive, and addressing the real issues involved. I mean, he's been here several months, 6 months or whatever, but the trade deal has still not been signed. After Prime Minister met Modi, after Modi met Trump at the G7 in Avion, hmm, it had already been announced that Greer would be coming to India subsequently, which he did. And our Commerce Minister said openly that unless we get a comparative advantage vis-a-vis our competitors, we will not sign the deal. So, how has Sergio Gore, despite his rhetoric and his best intentions, actually helped move forward an issue which is stuck, which is stuck, and 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 uh, and not merely that. During his watch, the Indo from the Indo-Pacific has been excluded, and this was done the day before Trump was to meet Modi. Now, whether it's coincidental, whether there was lack of coordination on the American side, one can all one can speculate. But common sense demands that when you are having this very, very important team meeting, even if you've taken an internal decision to change the name, just delay it. Don't do it in a way which sends the Indians a message that the Indo is no longer terribly relevant when we want to deal with the maritime security in the larger region. And not only that, they virtually don't mention Quad, and they have virtually abandoned the Indo-Pacific concept. Now, one would like to ask the American ambassador. I mean, it's no good saying that there's been a name change, but the reality on the ground doesn't change. But then, if the reality on the ground doesn't change, then why change the name? So again, I will say that as an ambassador, he's playing his role, which is legitimate. He has to make the best out of the situation,
Mm. Mm.
and that's what he's doing.
It's a
Uh,
pile of you know what, and he's trying to make a cake out of it.
no, you see, the other thing is that he's also playing domestic U.S. politics in India
Yeah. Yeah.
and trying to cozy up to Trump and also to show to all of us how close he is to Trump and of course, flatter him. Now, he's got this road named after him in Telangana, in Hyderabad, which is which is when you honor a foreign leader, it is a significant foreign policy issue,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to the president of the United States. I don't think any American president has ever got a road named after him. And here, when Trump is kicking us left and right, and our shins are bruised, uh, he gets honored by a road being named after him without consulting, I assume, the Ministry of External Affairs, because foreign relations is the domain of the central government. But Gore gains personal standing vis-a-vis Trump. Trump has posted on his Truth Social this fact that the road has been named and he is the only president who has been so honored. So, I mean, PR games are all right, fine. I mean, all ambassadors do that. It's legitimate. But a vital relationship like India and United States has to be based on solid ground, not PR.
Yeah. I think India's created that I would say a global paradigm that listen, this nonsense is not going to work. I think India was one of the first countries who stood up and said no, not going to work. And that to me is quite interesting, and that's one of the reasons why the ire of Trump is pretty harsh on India, because I guess he sees us as the instigators of this whole chaos, that nobody's listening to him anymore.
You
And
mean you mean the trade deal or what?
trade deals, because the Europeans backed off right after India said get lost. Uh, a lot of other countries who signed, and if you look at the trade deals that he's actually signed, is with Pakistan. I don't know, countries like this, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and no significant country is actually signed. Europeans signed it, they backed off right after the mother of all deals, so called, as per se. got signed with India. So, is it that they look at India as one of the antagonists that is not letting Trump kind of maneuver around the world in certain aspects, not of course in his entire geopolitical stature, but in certain areas?
See, my understanding is that our trade deal or the uh, negotiations of this interim trade deal that uh, we were we are talking about was negotiated very intensively in the sense
Mhm.
that uh, that um, the details of the deal and the reciprocity elements and this and that were worked out uh, very carefully, and we had made significant concessions to the United States, which was recognized by the USTR. In fact, in his statement to the Congress, he recognized that India has never made such offers to us ever before as they've done now. And now the deal is on Trump's table. Now, what Trump wants is that if Greer or everybody else understood that on certain agricultural issues we are not going to touch because they're extremely sensitive and have very serious political repercussions. So, as professionals, they understand what the limits are. But when they put it to Trump, he wants a win. He wants to humiliate you. He wants to say that I coerced the other side into agreeing what I want. Like he said on the Iranian thing, if you recall, he said, "Oh, you know, they have said that they have agreed to." They have agreed to the deal or something like that. He said, no, no, 90% or something. He said, no, no, it's not a question of 90% or 95%. It has to be 100%. This is his method of negotiation and his thinking, that he must get 100% of what he wants from India. And therefore, he's holding it up. That you must buy our corn, you must buy our agricultural products and whatever else that you know he wants to uh, sell to us. You know. So there it is. So I don't think the U.S. How should I put it? It is Trump and some of the people around him, like Besant especially, and Lutnick, and others who are there only to flatter him,
Mm, mm.
uh, be obsequious, and say all kinds of things to support Trump and appeal to his vanity. If you remember, I read it. I don't know if it's true or not. The Susie Wiles, uh, the White House chief of staff, she apparently seemed has told the cabinet members that please share with him the reality of the situation rather than wanting him to hear what he wants to hear. So there is a problem that nobody in his entourage wants to actually counter him or tell him that what he's doing maybe is not the right thing to do.
The yeah, that's a well put this thing. So he's misinformed and of course kept in a constant state of chaos, which suits his personality, I think. So when you look at the global order as per se, it's fragmented today, right? The heft that the Americans carried in terms of their word and in terms of their, I don't know, physical being is not really being recognized as a massive force to be reckoned with today, and that's something that all of us know that there's been a withdrawal. Now, when Trump or the U.S. administration, if I may say, Pacific instead of Indo-Pacific, what should India interpret out of it?
Well, you know, the obvious conclusion that one draws from it is that there is a change of strategic thinking.
And pardon me if I may interrupt you as well. Could you please also add the Israeli angle, where the Israelis are also now kind of saying enough? So,
Okay. There seems to be a change of strategic thinking because during Trump's first term,
mm,
when he had people around him who were very anti-Chinese, uh, and considered China as a major threat to U.S. supremacy, and therefore U.S. had to do everything possible to contain China in some ways. He's the one who changed the name of the U.S. Pacific Command into the Indo-Pacific Command. That means linking the security of the Indian Ocean to that of the Pacific Ocean. Now, by removing Indo from the Indo-Pacific Command and naming it only as the Pacific Command, he is uh, he is conveying a strategic message that now we're going to focus on the Pacific uh, rather than uh, rather than pay the kind of attention we were earlier paying to the linkages of security between the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. Now, it is true that in some ways, uh, the Indian Ocean doesn't present the same security scenario for the Americans as the Pacific does, because they have bases there, they have military commitments there. Um, Taiwan is a very big issue. Uh, so there is a danger of an actual military clash if things go out of hand. So in the Indian Ocean, it is a kind of a longer term strategy where you anticipate at some future date the Chinese will begin to increase their presence in the Indian Ocean and therefore devise certain deterrent strategies, monitoring strategies to counter that challenge. But it's a longer term challenge. So one can read it that way. And why I'm saying this also is that if you look at Peter Hegseth, the U.S. Defense Secretary's speech,
Mm.
the Shangri-La Dialogue, where he mentioned Southeast Asian countries, Philippines, this, that, Southeast Japan, Korea, everything else, and India was mentioned the last very, very briefly. And I think either the quarter not mentioned at all or just mentioned once, whatever. So it's quite clear, therefore, that this is a revision of thinking and strategy. Now, uh, what you had asked earlier about America losing its heft and everything else. Now, the awkward thing for America is that okay, they have these military commitments in the in the Western Pacific, but they had military commitments also in the Gulf. They have bases in the Gulf. In fact, they have possibly an equal number or more number of bases in West Asia than in the proper Western Pacific. And what has happened? They don't have China as an adversary in West Asia. They had Iran sanctioned for years, huh? Deprived of oil revenues, under pressure. Huh? They had Iran as an adversary. And at the end of the day, what happened? They couldn't protect their bases at all. And they have been subject to a political military defeat. So I think if one was to look at this very carefully, and not only that, it is that the American weaponry doesn't seem to have worked effectively because of the new methods of warfare and everything else. Iran, with its drone capabilities and everything else, could handle the American threat. And the Americans ran out of missiles and this and that and that as one hears. So this also goes to show that the entire structure of American military and how it visualized fighting wars and and using their military strength to achieve their goals. That entire strategy has to be reworked. And there is China is not Iran. So so far as Israel is concerned, uh, first two three things. One, of course, this misadventure vis-a-vis Iran has cost a great deal the relationship between the United States and Israel. Uh, Trump has been pretty public about Netanyahu, quite public, quite humiliating and insulting. And Netanyahu is now saying that we are our per capita income is $67,000. We are not a poor country. We can rely on ourselves. We don't need America. We can look after our own security and this and that. They suffer severe damage from Iran, although they also attacked Iran and attacked a lot of their sites and killed their leadership, but they suffered a lot. And they will still suffer a lot. Their Iron Dome didn't work as effectively. So, uh, and generally speaking, uh, I think generally speaking, Israel now has lost global sympathy. All this while, whatever they did in Gaza and everything else, the total destruction of Gaza, razing the buildings, depriving them of humanitarian aid. This has caused a lot of reaction in the West, in the United States included. And earlier, people didn't want to criticize Israel because they were concerned that this may be taken as anti-Semitism. But now the criticism is quite open. So Israel has lost a lot of sympathy standing, and its military dominance is now also open to question, and its relationship with America has got disturbed to the point that this lady, the big supporter of Trump, I'm forgetting her name, who was there when Trump visited uh, Israel and was speaking at the Knesset, and he told her that, "Are you American or are you Israeli?" and this and that. She has now written an open letter to Trump, castigating him very severely that you are a total disappointment, etc. So, so the big Jewish financiers, uh, I'm speculating here. I don't know what their role would be in the midterm election because all these fellows they depend on a lot of money that comes from the American Jewish sources. So whether this compromises even more the chances of re-election of the Republicans or winning the House again, etc., etc., has become, I think, more questionable.
Mm. I mean, I don't know who's there in the Democrats. It's that long-haired, what's his name, the governor of California,
Newsom.
Gavin Newsom. I don't know how much America will actually go for him. To me, sir, I don't know when the whole JD Vance versus Marco Rubio thing is actually being played out between South America and Iran. JD Vance has been made to look like a fool, and Marco Rubio is coming out to be this professional regime changer who can just do stuff without creating much of chaos. And now, if you look at it, JD Vance was put on the back burner. Marco came across, did the deal, and then JD Vance was brought again back in the front. And again, that thing got screwed up. So I guess somebody's planning for a fall. JD Vance needs to be brought down for some reason. Whatever. I mean, that's their politics. That's just my opinion at the moment. Lots and lots of hints towards that particular front, but let's see. So you've mentioned one thing very clearly, that uh, they are trying to kind of mend themselves back to India by doing these frivolous things which basically don't mean much, right? So that's one aspect of it that we can actually take out. When you look at that again, the geopolitical game, the next target after Iran is going to be switching towards the east, and we can see tremblings of something happening towards the east already. Thailand, Cambodia is one of the flashpoints. There are supposedly some deployments which are going to happen in the east now in the future. They are already starting to talk about it and stuff. Pacific, as you said, is a challenge for the Americans. How do you think the world is now going to look at, actually, let's just look at the Indo-Pacific as per se, the Quad. Now, the Americans said, no Quad, 1.5 years. Now they say, oh, no, we want to do another Quad in 2 months. So two Quad meetings in 3 months. and first 1.5 years no quad. So this is a very confused sort of a policy jumping from one place to the other, where the rest of the world seems to be very Terawa and kind of taking it their own bit.
Well,
Opportunities, yeah.
so far as Quad is concerned, I think from the American point of view, um, and makes sense that let's keep it afloat. You pump in some air into the collapsing balloon so that at least it has some shape. So they organized this Quad foreign ministers meeting for which Marco Rubio came. Firstly, he didn't produce anything very much in terms of results, and secondly, although I don't know, we not made much song and dance about it. I don't think his decision to visit the missionaries of charity in Calcutta before he had the Quad meeting was necessarily a wise diplomatic move. Uh, in the India US context,
Mm.
the evangelicals there, the Christians there, the FCRA business, uh, over which they were agitated, um, and the Hindu baiting that is being done by Christian evangelists, MAGA racist types. Uh, so I don't think in that context it was a very wise move because it was sending a certain message to India. Anyway, uh, now after the name of the Indo-Pacific has been changed and the narrative is building up that US is no longer as committed to the Quad because the Chinese have always been against it, uh, and that this is one more gesture towards China. If you recall, when Trump met Xi in Beijing, uh, he mentioned the G2, and he mentioned G2 in his meeting with Prime Minister Modi at Avion. Uh, so for him, he's trying to signal to the Chinese that we are not trying to needlessly contain you or rope in others to challenge
That's the
you.
worst thing. And then saying it, they're not doing it, that means they're doing it.
We need to have some kind of arrangement with you, whereas where we compete with you, we can be adversaries in certain critical areas, but we should have an understanding that we will not enter into military conflict. And please don't test us on Taiwan because you will force our hand, and we don't want our hands to be forced. And therefore, the mill to mill dialogue is very essential. And the Americans have been pressing this for a very long time. And the reason is this, that there is an inbuilt um, situation in this area which can lead to military conflict. And therefore, in order to prevent that, let the two militaries talk to each other, have been in constant touch so that the matter remains contained. So, to that extent, they're sacrificing this Quad business and all that. The other is that they haven't treated the Japanese very well either, and the whole Quad idea emanated from the Japanese. The Japanese, from the Prime Minister Takeichi's visit, as I see, they are they are interested in keeping the uh, Quad alive, and therefore they will have another meeting of Quad. But but the point is that uh, what will that what will be really the message that Quad will send if fundamentally the Americans have changed their uh, thinking and view with regard to the utility of the Quad. Uh, so uh, that is one aspect. The other is that how much should we now be enthusiastic about the Quad? I mean, we have to be pragmatic and realistic, and we can't sort of work on the basis that Quad is absolutely essential to as a deterrent to China, and that the four countries can cooperate with each other, concretely. Uh, can we really believe that anymore?
Humorims.
So if we can't believe that anymore, then should also we now get into a mode of lip service that we give to Quad but
Exactly.
understand fully that this is not this is not the same Quad concept that existed earlier, and now there is a very serious change in American thinking about. No, let me put it in another context. America, Trump has no value. America has no value. The American administration, even for NATO, with the Russian challenge that Europe feels. So, if he can actually, Trump can be dismissive of NATO, which is really a very powerful transatlantic alliance which has worked together and which is has been the center point of, of security in Europe. Now, if he can simply walk away from there more or less, then what is the value of the Quad, which is not even an alliance in Trump's eyes? And then, if he's reaching out to Russia, and that's the reason he's also partly dismissive of of NATO. So when he reaches out to China, then obviously he's also dismissive of Quad. I mean, you see the parallel. And I think we should internalize this and devise a strategy where we go along.
Absolutely.
And
Lip service is the best at the moment. Yes.
yeah, and we should go along. And if there is a meeting, why not? And then at least it brings Japan and Australia and us together, and we want to strengthen ties with both countries.
Lastly, sir, when you see the situation of the subcontinent itself, there's a battle happening in Bangladesh. There's a battle happening in Pakistan. Pakistan's was given a reality check by a former ambassador of Singapore.
Yes,
That was amazing,
I
and
saw
that
that.
that is the reality. Actually, this is like it's like a piddle bubble which it blows up. It seems like, oh, I'm a balloon, I can fly, and it just bursts. And that's what reality of Pakistan is. Now that the Iran thing is kind of coming towards some sort of a closure, Americans have their own direct contact with the Iranians today. Um, what leaves of their indulgence, if I may, in Pakistan and Bangladesh?
Well, I think Pakistan will always be useful to the Americans, always, right from the time we gained our independence. The United States has backed Pakistan, and I know from inside when I was still in office how much central it is to U.S. thinking that there should be strategic stability in the subcontinent, which means that Pakistan should not be weakened beyond a point, because then it serves no useful purpose, and it is not a check on India. Number one. Number two, they are they they see that Pakistan is a nuclear weapon state. They see the weakness of the Pakistan state structure, and Pakistan is internally adrift and economically is not doing well. But it's a nuclear weapon state, and the only Islamic country that's a nuclear weapon state. So they don't want to ignore it. They want to keep the channel of communication alive and retain some influence. Number three, the United States has never questioned uh, Pakistan's relationship with China. Even when Pakistan is on IMF door and the United States has the means to tell Pakistan, for heaven's sake, stop buying all these submarines and all these, you know, versions of F-35, J-35 from China, and this and that, cost money. Where is that money coming from? They tell us, they have been telling us, reduce your dependence on Russia. But they never tell Pakistan, reduce your dependence on China. In fact, my concern is that since they themselves would be a little hesitant to give arms to Pakistan because of the repercussions on their relations with India, so they're quite okay if China supplies Pakistan arms and keeps Pakistan strong. So therefore, and then added to that, of course, is the new role they want Pakistan to play in West Asia. And now that the Gulf countries are beginning to question the value of US security ties, so they want to beef them or to not substitute them, but to supplement them with something more Islamic. And here's where Pakistan steps in. So, unfortunately for us, Pakistan's value in the eyes of America and is not going to diminish beyond a point for the reasons that I have reduced. And therefore, we have to live with this reality.
Interesting. Thank you, sir, for always a pleasure to talk to you and learn from you. Thank you so much for the time and, of course, the analysis. It's going to be very interesting times going forward. I think geopolitics has been um clashing with the FIFA World Cup. So,
Well, in the FIFA World Cup, the G7 is doing pretty badly, you know.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Geopolitics is clashing with it, and it's. Uh, I think Trump has to raise either bomb someone or create something for the attention to go back onto him. Otherwise, he's going to lose attention from the World Cup and probably not be in the media as much. Thank you so much, and sorry for that last pun. But to the audience, my request to everybody is please like, subscribe, and of course comment your thoughts and your questions or your thoughts that I could ask sir the next time we get him on the platform. Always a pleasure to have sir on Dev Talks. Namaskar, Jai Hind.
My, my pleasure. Thank you.